The vocabulary word reference angle is the identifier that we are going to use that will help us find the sine and cosine values of different angle measures. So let's look at 150 degrees first. We know this is 0, this is 90, and this is 180. So 150 degrees is going to be maybe somewhere over here. And again, we're just kind of going with the ish notion. So 150 degrees-ish. The reference angle is the angle in relation to the x-axis. Remember, this is your x, up and down is your y. So you always do your polar angle. So in this case, 150. Drop a line straight down so you get a right angle. And then that angle measure in there will be our reference angle. In this case, it's 30 degrees because to this point is 150. And then you're kind of asking yourself how much to get back down to the 180. So a 150 degree angle is the polar angle, which gives a reference angle of 30 degrees. So let's go through a couple more angles here. Let's do a 40 degree angle. Let's do 240 degree angle. And then we're going to do 315. If at any point along here you feel like you can do it on your own, please just stop the video, practice it a few times, and it'll make you better. So if we're going up 40 degrees from 0 before 90, our 40 degree angle is also going to have a reference angle of 40 degrees. So it's a 40 degree polar angle, and it's a 40 degree reference angle. That's the funny thing about angle measures up here in quadrant 1. Their polar angle is actually going to be the same as the reference angle. Moving on to 240, again, pause the video. Go ahead and try this on your own. 180 degrees, I know this is 270, so 240 would go somewhere in there-ish. The tricky one with this one, some students want to go back to this y-axis. No way, Jose. It always goes in relation to the x-axis. So, make your right angle all the way around. From here all the way around is a 240 degree angle. So the question is, how much is in here? Well, there's a couple different ways you can solve for that. I know this is 180, but I went 240. So I don't really care about this starting 240 right here. I don't really care, or sorry, 180. I don't really care about that much. I only care about how much I went after 180. So I'm going to take the 240 degrees and subtract off the 180 that I don't care about, and it's a 60 degree angle. So a 60 degree angle in there back to the x-axis. So a 240 degree polar angle has a 60 degree reference angle. Go ahead and try 315 on your own. Locate it on the coordinate plane, and then go ahead and see what the reference angle would be. Okay, here's my solution. 315 degrees is almost 360. I would be going the whole way around if it was 360, but we didn't. We only went 315 degrees to get to there. So back to the x-axis. What would that angle measure be in there if I dropped this straight down to the x-axis? We can use a similar strategy as we did before. We almost went the whole way around, but we didn't quite. So instead of doing the 360 degrees, I'm going to subtract off the 315 degrees that we did do, and that leaves a 45 degree reference angle. So a 350 degree polar angle has a 45 degree reference angle. Let's try a couple more kind of goofy ones. First one is negative 120. We know that if we go in a negative direction, instead of going positive, we're just going to go the other way and go in the negative direction. So if I would go negative 120, this would be negative 90. All the way over would be negative 180. I only want to go negative 120-ish, so I don't know, somewhere in there. That wasn't a very good approximation because it's closer to 90 than it is 180, but we're just kind of ish. So draw it straight back to the x-axis. We are curious about that reference angle if that degree measure was 180. Hopefully you're trying these on your own. That's the way that you're going to get better and be successful. We didn't quite go 180 degrees, we only went 120, so that would leave a 60-degree reference angle left over. Last one we're going to do together here today is a 580-degree angle. So 580 degrees is more than a full rotation. 580 degrees, I am going to subtract 360. That leaves 220 degrees that we can then locate on this coordinate plane. So it's like we went a whole time around and another 220. And to think about where that's going to be, this is 180, so I know I'm going to go kind of just past that. So 220 will be somewhere in here. And the question is, what is that in relation to the x-axis? So again, we can kind of make that little right triangle and say, okay, well now I just had 220 degrees, but again, we don't really care about the 180 to get there, so let's just kind of get rid of that 180 we don't really care about, and that leaves us with a 40-degree reference angle. Another vocabulary word that we've talked about, but we don't really dwell on it, is the fact that these two angle measures are called coterminal. Coterminal. We just kind of said it goes around again. Or it wraps around. You either add 360 degrees to the measure, or you can subtract 360 degrees. For example, up here, if you didn't like the negative 120, you could add 360 degrees to that and get a coterminal angle of 240. So negative 120 degrees is actually equal to 240 degrees. Because if you just add 360 to it, you're just getting 240. That could help you locate where to draw it on that coordinate plane. Coterminal is wrapping around. Reference is in regards to the x-axis. There are some practice available. If you're interested in practicing a few more, here are some options. Okay, so go ahead and just pause the video here to practice these couple, and then I will show the solutions here in a second. So pause it. Here come the solutions. If you have any questions, please let me know. This was a video on the vocabulary word of a reference angle. And we also snuck in some coterminal.